Hello, Clarice. Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you some more movie reviews. This time I'm going to be talking about Silence of the Lambs, which came out in 1991, along with Hannibal from 2001, and of course both starring Anthony Hopkins. Silence of the Lambs starring Jodie Foster as well, along with Hannibal starring Julianne Moore, along with Gary Oldman and Ray Liotta, actually. These are a couple of movies I've been meaning to get to for some time. They're one of those sort of staple the genre movies that we all have to address at some point. And I had watched them with my girlfriend again recently. So yeah, I'm actually pretty eager to talk about these because I am a big fan of the Hannibal character. I absolutely love the show. I unfortunately didn't catch it when it was airing, but I finally had gotten into the story and everything, and I own the whole set on Blu-ray of the show. And of course, you guys know the story of Silence of the Lambs by now. Clarice, she goes to former Dr. Hannibal Lecter to seek his insight into figuring out and capturing this other killer who is bound to kill again. They're trying to figure out his pattern and everything. Silence of the Lambs also has Scott Glenn as Jack Crawford, which is cool to see. Frankie Faison is actually in both of these movies. Good to see him. I even liked some of his more recent work on Banshee, of course, one of my all-time favorite shows. So it's cool to see him on this, popping up in here. But yeah, so Silence of the Lambs, it's a classic movie. Of course, starring Anthony Hopkins. And Anthony Hopkins, I think he is one of the greatest actors of all time. I don't think you can debate that. And Anthony Hopkins is absolutely mesmerizing here. The way he speaks as Hannibal, his line delivery, how he delivers them in a creepy yet, intelligent sort of cutting right through you sort of way. I thought he's absolutely brilliant in both of these movies, really. No question about that. He's a constant you can count on. I've seen people kind of disregard Hannibal a little bit more, the sequel. But even if you do, you still got to give it to Anthony Hopkins. He gives a tremendous performance. And I think, I'm still, I don't know if I want to say I prefer Mads Mikkelsen because of the show. I mean, he had, 3 seasons, hours and hours to play the character. Anthony Hopkins, got to play him in a couple hours in a few different movies. So it is kind of unfair to compare, but I think they're both such really great versions of Hannibal on their own. And just his relationship with Clarice as explored in both of these movies. It starts with this. Jodie Foster, she's very good as well. She is believable. I really liked her as Clarice to start. Lawrence, excuse me. Her conversations with Hannibal, when she goes to visit him in his cell where he's being taken, and then the other sort of loony prisoners, and you start to see Hannibal's sort of own sense of how people should be in the world, his own sense of, I don't know if I should say honor, or again how he sees things should be himself. And his interactions and his dynamic with Clarice, it's one of the best in any film ever, I think. Jodie Foster, of course, she uses a southern accent here, as does Julianne Moore, and I think they're both seamless. Kind of signature, a little bit droll and stuff. I think it was perfect balance of it. I'm not southern myself, so I could be wrong about that, but it worked for me. It felt believable. and it didn't stick out like something on True Blood or something like that, where they're basically parodying that kind of thing. I hesitate to call this one especially a horror movie, and that's just because it goes about as more of a crime drama, sort of thriller kind of thing, maybe infused with some horror elements to it. But the way things go with Dr. Lecter in the end, the horror side of it definitely does come out. But I think it's paced really nicely. It feels like a slow burn, like it has a certain amount of patience, yet it knows where it's going and it has these moments on to put in certain spots. So it doesn't get boring, but I could see some people thinking, okay, come on, I'm tired of watching this. I just want to see gore and Hannibal eat people and stuff like that. It's a more intelligent presentation of this story, this kind of story, and I appreciate it in both of these, really. We'll get more into Hannibal in a couple minutes here. But I really, really like Silence of the Lambs. It is one of those achievements of its genre, I believe. And it was directed by Jonathan Demme, who actually didn't come back for the first. There's some disputes with that, and we'll talk about the Clarice casting change a little. But I think it's paced nicely, and like I said, it's not horror. He had the wild Buffalo, Buffalo Bill character. He was played well. He was unsettling enough, but Hannibal, of course, is the one who steals the show here. It's not like an all-out horror movie, but when there is its moments of violence, it's pretty visceral and really sticks out when things happen. Especially with Hannibal near the climax of the movie. So I think the movie does a lot right. It's very hard to knock this movie at all. I'm trying to come from the flaw right now, and I really can't. The way it's shot and everything as well, and the cast chemistry, I think is just all really on point. So I could delve into it more, but it is about 3 in the morning here, and I'm choosing to talk about this now, so that's my fault. But if I'd rate Silence of the Lambs, I'm giving it at least between like a 91 and a 93%, basically AA minus, somewhere in there. I could probably push it higher if I really wanted to, but like I said, it's definitely an achievement of its genre. And now we're going to be talking about its sequel, 2001's Hannibal, a little bit more. And again, it's a shame that this movie isn't as discussed as the original, or at least really talked about as much as it should be. It seems like people only care about Silence of the Lambs, and then they just kind of push aside everything else. And I haven't seen Red Dragon yet. I haven't seen Hannibal Rising. I will see Red Dragon eventually. I'm not sure about Hannibal Rising, but I know they were kind of mixed going into the sequel. Jodie Foster didn't return. I've read different things about how that went. I don't know if it was a money dispute. That was one thing I read. I didn't, then there's something else about, I guess, Jodie Foster not liking where the character direction went for Clarice and not believing in it, so she left. I'm not sure which is honestly probably a little bit of both. I'm not sure. And it was Anthony Hopkins who, according to IMDb, actually recommended Julianne Moore to take her place. And Julianne Moore is a very, very fine actress. I mean, you could even look at her in something like the 2013 Carrie remake, for instance. If you want to see slightly more recent work of the genre with her. I think she's a really great actress. And it's hard to say, which Clarice I prefer, I guess. That's rough. I've been trying to think about it too, but I don't know if I can really pick one over the other. I mean, I think I do like Julianne Moore better in a general sense, but I think they both captured the character fine. It felt pretty seamless. They don't look exactly alike, but they don't look overly different either. They both had a similar accent. I will say, the relationship with Lecter and Clarice in this isn't as delved into as the first, which it didn't necessarily have to be. I still liked it, and they do share a really, kind of layered and, I don't know if I want to say intimate, sort of scene near the end of the movie. And then meanwhile, you have Gary Oldman's character. You can't even really tell it's Gary Oldman. under all those prosthetics and makeup and stuff like that. And there's this whole thing about him getting credit or not that you can read about on IMDb and some other production notes you can find. But he looked good here, and he played that kind of sleazy Mason Verger character well, and it's pretty spot on when you watch it with the show as well. It's good to have him there, breaking pace and seeing him again a little bit was good. Now, of course, Hannibal is living in exile. He's in another country, and eventually, he tries to reconnect with the now disgraced FBI agent Clarice, and finds himself a target for revenge from a powerful victim, and that's Gary Oldman. And Clarice, at the beginning of the movie, she ends up having to shoot this woman who's holding her baby, and it causes basically what you think it would. But the fact is, the other one drew on Clarice, and she had to make a life or death choice there. She regrets it, but she's carrying a lot on her shoulders now at this point, and kind of shunned by her agency. Ray Liotta is in this as well. Who's good, very, you can kind of tell, corrupt and everything, Tommy Vercetti, Vice City style, I guess. He was good to have there as well. I mean, he was a pretty one-note character, but, nonetheless, this adding to an already stellar cast in both of these movies. And again, I got to give it to Julianne Moore. I thought she was excellent in the role of Clarice. I think I seen more. I will say I think I seen more refinement or sort of a nuance with Julianne Moore's Clarice. I don't know. It could just be a preference I have. I could be wrong. I love Jodie Foster's Clarice. I mean, if I could change it, I would have her player in both of them, or vice versa. As far as casting changes, I think this is one of the best in history. In terms of how it went or how it transitioned. So it doesn't really jar you, going from movie to movie. But yeah, anyway, I thought she was really good there, and her dealing with all that was nice. And Anthony Hopkins again. What can I say about him that I haven't already said, that hasn't been said by millions of other people? One of the greatest actors of all time. And he's again great here as Hannibal. It's it's good seeing Hannibal out and about. Although I do think I don't know if I want to say a weakness, but something that Silence of the Lambs does better than is its pacing and its sort of build up. This one feels a little bit more, excuse the sound notification there for Facebook, but this one feels a little bit more spread thin. Now, I don't know if I want to say spread thin either, because we also have this detective looking into him in France, I think it is. It doesn't feel quite as focused as Silence of the Lambs did into what they're going into, but still, it was good. Things felt just a little more kind of cut up, I guess. Still very, very good. The finale that it leads up to with Verger's plan and the capture of Hannibal, or the attempted capture of Hannibal with that dynamic with Clarice slowly coming back. It's all really well played out, and again, it's not like a continuously violent movie every scene or something. When it does, it's visceral. It carried that over here, and it has a really cool ending. I actually really liked it a lot. I thought it was pretty nice. And again, if you've seen the show, it's just interesting to kind of compare and contrast how they went about different types of events within the stories and such. So yeah, I honestly really like Hannibal. I think it's a good sequel. I think Silence of the Lambs is overall the more well-made movie by a couple margins or a hair. I don't know. But I could honestly find myself a certain night, preferring Hannibal, perhaps. So I'm not saying I give it like a 90, 92%, pretty much right around that same area. So yeah, honestly, that's how I feel. Why don't you guys think about both of them? You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.